Dividing by a polynomial. Now, dividing by a polynomial is very closely linked to remainder theorem and factor theorem, which we looked at in a previous video. Now, you can find a remainder when dividing by a given possible given factor by using dividing by a polynomial. However, in the exam, if it asks you to find the remainder, just use the simple method as shown in the remainder theorem video. Now, dividing by a polynomial could lead on to you being asked to completely factorise an expression. So once we'd divided by this x minus 3 in this first one, we could then be asked to completely factorise the cubic expression. Now, let's have a go here at dividing by a polynomial. So we've got, let's just redraw this a little bit lower because I need to write above it. So we've got this expression, we're told, x cubed plus 2x squared minus 17x plus 6. And we're dividing this expression by x minus 3. Now, if this is a factor of x cubed plus 2x squared minus 17x plus 6, we should end up with no remainder. Now, when we're dividing by x minus 3, the first thing we look at is the x cubed part, and we're going to go along each of the terms. Okay, now we ignore the minus 3 bit here, because to get x cubed could only be made by doing x times x squared. So we ignore the minus 3 part here. So how many x's go into x cubed, which is just x squared, because we times x squared by x to get to x cubed. Now, this is the bit where it starts to get a little bit more difficult, in the fact that to find out what we have left in the next line, which we're going to divide, we have to take what we've just found, this x squared, and times it by what we're given to divide by. So x squared times x is x cubed, and x squared times minus 3 is minus 3x squared. Now we subtract these two parts here to see what we're going to divide by, be divided next. So x cubed minus x cubed, well, that's 0, but 2x squared minus 3x squared becomes 5x squared, and we bring down these two parts here. So minus 17x plus 6. Now we're going to divide x minus 3 by this new expression here, 5x squared minus 17x plus 6. And yet again, we're going to look at this 5x squared first. So what do we times x by to get to 5x squared? Well, that is 5x. So 5x. And as we did before, we're now going to multiply what we just found is 5x by what we're dividing by. So 5x times x is 5x squared. 5x times minus 3 is minus 15x. And we're going to divide subtract like we did before. So subtracting these two away from each other, 5x squared minus 5x squared is 0, but minus 17x minus 15x is equal to minus 2x. I'm going to bring down the 6 again. Now we're going to divide minus 2x by x minus 3. So what do we times x by to get to minus 2x, which is just minus 2. So minus 2, and as we've done in every other case, we're going to multiply now the minus 2 by x minus 3. And if we do that, we get the following. We get minus 2x squared plus 6. We subtract these two away and you'll see that this is equal to 0. Now, this means that x minus 3 is a factor of x cubed plus 2x squared minus 17x plus 6. Had this not have been 0, so say we'd been given the answer 6, that is the remainder, which also means that x minus 3 would not be a factor of the given cubic expression. Now, I'm just going to have a go at another one because I'm fully aware this is quite a difficult skill to get your head around first time. So, this time we're doing divide 6x cubed plus 28x squared minus 7x plus 15, and we're going to divide this by x plus 5. So, like we did before, we've got our 6x cubed plus 28x squared minus 7x plus 15, and we are dividing this by 6 add 5. So we're going to ignore the plus 5 bit, we're just going to look at the x part. So what do we times x by to get to 6x cubed? Well, that is 6x squared, and then we're going to multiply by the 6x squared by what we've got here. So 6x squared times x is 6x cubed, and 6x squared times 5 is 30x squared. Subtract the 2, it's always subtract, so that part 0, the other part is minus 2x squared, and then we bring down the remainder, which is 7x and our 15. Now we're going to divide by our 2x minus 2x squared by the x, which would be minus 2x, and then we're going to multiply that minus 2x by the x plus 5, so that's minus 2x squared, and then minus 2 times 5 is minus 10x. Subtract the 2 away from each other, and we get 0 for that part, and minus 7 minus 10 becomes 3x, and we've still got the plus 15, which we brought down. Finally, we now look at the 3x and think what do we times x by to get to 3x, which is 3. So the final part up here would be 3, and then we've got to do 3 times x, which is 3x, and 3 times 5, which is 15. And if you subtract those two away from each other, you get the answer 0. So this means that x plus 5 is a factor of our original cubic expression. And remember, you could be asked in an exam to fully factorise this cubic expression after using dividing of polynomials. So then you'd have to factorise this expression here.